Good morning. Happy New Year to everyone. I think we can still say Happy New Year for about a week, right? That's where it extends a little bit longer. Then you get annoying when you're like 3 or 4 weeks in and you're in like February telling people Happy New Year. But Happy New Year to everyone out there. We've got Matt, we've got Barry here. I'm Gino, and every week now on Fridays, we're going to be bringing you a show just like this called This Weekend in StableDuel. We're going to take a little preview at the weekend schedule for StableDuel. We'll show you some of the games that are happening on Friday, Saturday, maybe even Sunday. Some weeks we'll, get a pretty set schedule now with some of the way that the track schedule is set. It looks like most weekends for the next couple months, StableDuel will probably have Gulfstream, Santa Anita, Tampa, and Sam Houston. Really excited about Sam Houston. They opened up just last night. They had an incredible night in handle. They were breaking records all over the place. There was a really good buzz about Sam Houston. So let's first take a quick look at what's happening this weekend. We'll look at the schedule, and then we're going to dive in. We're each going to share a couple plays with you for some Friday, for some Saturday stuff, and we'll see what StableDuel has on the menu. Let's take a look.
Better, you want to spread your pony knowledge wide. Oh, better, I got a place where winning ain't tough to do. You want to be cool, StableDuel. Your horse racing fantasy comes true. But no, StableDuel.
Download the StableDuel app and play today.
So we got a big menu coming up this weekend, and I guess the first of those tracks will be underway on Friday, and that will be Gulfstream Park. They actually have a couple different options for you. They've added a free ride for Friday. You can play in that game for free. It will not cost you anything. Also a $25 top five, and I think both Matt and Barry have a horse or two that they were looking at to throw into your StableDuel lineup. So we're not going to go, sometimes when we've done these streams, and we'll have ones like that where we go race by race for a particular contest. What we're going to do here is we're just going to share some of our best plays throughout the weekend at any of these tracks that have contests. So wherever you're playing, maybe you're playing at Gulfstream, maybe you're playing Sam Houston, maybe you're playing Santa Anita, we'll give you a horse or two to help. That can maybe you can throw in your lineup, maybe you can build around, and we'll just kind of remind you some of the really big contests happening at StableDuel each weekend. So let's start with Gulfstream, and let's start with you, Barry. You said Gulfstream, you had a play for us today. Where are you looking for Gulfstream for Friday?
Well, I got a couple, but we'll start with the earliest one, which is in race 4.
Okay.
Which looks to me like a pretty straightforward race, but I actually noticed something about the morning line, and the horse that I like was a little bit above the morning line. I think this horse actually might go favored, which will probably do people in StableDuel pretty well because he's 7-2 on the morning line. It's number 8 Better Up Bud. Out of the Saffie Joseph barn, horse ran pretty good. Just kind of got over the track, was off slow on December 16th. Gets blinkers on, which is a huge key. Saffie's numbers are wildly off the charts second time out. So I thought there was a lot of value here for a horse out of Upstart. They paid $125,000 for him. This horse has some upside here.
And a little bit there.
And I think he's going to be favored, and I think he's probably going to be a really good play in StableDuel.
So we're looking
like
at
a winner.
We're looking at the runner here. Yeah, here we go. He was way in the back after missing that break there, and that's the horse that Barry is looking at right off the bat. So we're talking about Gulfstream Park. We are talking about Friday. We are talking about race number 4, and we're looking at the number 8, Batter Up Bud. Blinkers come on, getting the Lasix there for the first time. And Barry, yeah, you were having a little bit of audio issues before. I mean, you were sounding fine, but you were kind of sounding like Mr. Roboto. You were kind of like, I was going to do a little. Yeah.
I think this horse has a really good shot to win. I think the horse would probably be favored. I'd be surprised if he wasn't. But obviously you're going to get he's 7,500 in StableDuel. So you're going to get a horse that's probably going to or should be a 9,000 and up kind of horse.
Yeah.
If you feel froggy, you can throw in the 2 Klugman if you want to double up in that race. But it's a tough little go of it there at Gulfstream today. So you gotta pick your spots. I think this is a good one. That way you don't spend too much for a horse that you really think has a chance to win.
So while we're hanging around at Gulfstream Park, Matt, you said you had maybe a play or two at Gulfstream for Friday.
Yeah, and I'm actually in the same race, but with a different horse. So,
love it.
So I looked at this as,
Love
it's
it.
funny if you play Gulfstream on Saturday, you know that some of these maiden races are just chocked full of like Pletcher monsters just coming in. And so this is actually kind of nice that you don't have some horse that's just going to throw up an 85 buyer number in their maiden effort, like Dean's List or something like that. So this is a race where I actually went with a little bit of value. And so I was looking at the 7 and the 9, Mischievous Guy and Hey Hombre. These were 2 horses that I've run before. I like the cutback in distance to 5.5 furlongs for Mischievous Guy. 10 to 1. It's only going to cost you $1,000. I do think this is a solid race, but I like Junior Alvarado on Mischievous Guy. Like I said, for $1,000, this is the horse that finished second in its first time out. And like I said, going back to that distance, Hey Hombre finished right behind him in that first maiden race and has shown progressively better speed figures the last 2 times out. Also, Lionel Reyes, I think, is a jockey who's been giving a lot of really good rides at Gulfstream Park. He rarely ever rides the favorites, but he still manages to get to the winner's circle about 13% of the time. So I think both of those horses intrigued me as if you're looking to save money and looking for a value play in that race, those are the 2 that stuck out to me.
We got a nice little trifecta there. 7, 8, 9.
There you go.
There you go. We got a little lean towards the outside for a try there. So that's a couple looks at Friday Gulfstream from Matt from Barry. While we're at Gulfstream, Barry, did you have any other Gulfstream looks for Friday?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. In race 6.
Awesome.
This was another one that seemed, I particularly like the main races on the turf because you get a couple of horses that'll get overbet, and you'll get a good value on a horse that probably is just a little bit outside of kind of outside of the mainstream as far as high profile connections. Although Mark Cassie in this case is pretty high profile, but in this race in particular, there might be some others that would attract a lot of money because there's a Pletcher horse to his inside. Simon Callahan has a horse coming in from out west. I think Wesley Ward has one. Christophe Clement has one, and I like the horse that actually ran once already is Icing, number 6. I thought that effort wasn't too bad. He didn't get the best of starts. Ended up going really wide out of the 9 hole. Gets a better post position today, and should be right there when it's all said and done.
Put a little bit of that on the cake, please, for me.
Yes, sir.
We're looking at Icing there at Gulfstream Park. So, Matt, I have plays for Friday at Sam Houston and Santa Anita. Do you have any other at Gulfstream Park you want to take a look at?
Yeah, I have one very quickly that I'll mention, which is in race 3, the 8-horse Julius the Great. This is on the sweet Tapeta surface, and so I love that synthetic, despite what everybody else in the country seems to think. And this is a horse that he's the only horse that's actually run on the synthetic at Gulfstream in this race. And for $7,000, I feel like this is a horse that has very consistent speed figures, ran really well on that surface when he did run there. And in a field full of unknowns, I feel like this is a horse that is a little bit more of a known quantity. And like I said, for $7,000 is I think a pretty good value play for a favorite, I think, and a horse that I think will probably get bet down significantly. Additionally, one thing that I think people can use in general when playing Gulfstream, he's going to have an ideal trip for this surface. You want to sit in a stalking position on the Tapeta, and that's exactly the way this race is going to set up. He's going to sit behind Stribling and Pipa Delinda, who are going to go to the early lead and be the speed. He's going to be able to sit behind in that 3-4 position. That's exactly where you want to be on the surface. You don't want to be a deep closer. You don't want to be a front runner on the synthetic there at Gulfstream. So Julius the Great in race 3.
Barry, they must have named this horse after last year's Randall season. It wasn't this year's season for Randall, unfortunately. I love me some Julius, man. I love me some Julius Randall. He was one of my favorite when he was the Laker here. He battles, he'll go right at you, but man, he's shooting a lot worse than he was last year. Because it might be Julius the Good instead of Julius the Great.
Julius
year, right?
the Brick. Julius the Brick. Just straight up bricks, man.
It's one of those like regression back to the mean, because last year he might have been shooting a little bit better than what he normally is as a shooter. And Julius the Great, we'll see if they can get the job done. While we're still at Gulfstream for Friday, anybody else have anything at Gulfstream before we get out of here? Okay, great. So we'll move along on Friday.
Yeah, we gave you all the winners. We gave them all the winners already.
That's all we need. We didn't need to stay any longer. Why are we going to dilly-dally, right? Who wants us to loiter at Gulfstream for any longer while we're good to go? So now we will head on over to Santa Anita. I've actually got a couple that I'm looking at for Santa Anita. Matt, did you say you had one for Santa Anita also for Friday?
For Saturday, I have some for Santa Anita.
So you're at Sam Houston for Saturday. Barry, where else are we gonna have plays for you?
Oh, today? Yeah, we got Santa Anita too.
Yeah, okay, awesome.
I got a couple at Santa Anita.
You and me at Santa Anita. Let's share the Santa Anita screen now. The Santa Anita contest that we can get into for today. We've got a $50 game. We've got a $100 double up. The $50 game is $3,000 in cash prizes. And like always, anytime we're doing these streams, very, very lucky here to be looking at the daily racing form past performances. And if you ever want to take a look at what we're looking at with Formulator past performances, you can go to shop.drf.com and you will be able to one click to charts, one click to pedigree, one click to race replays like we've been watching. And as we get into Friday, the first race that I'm looking at for Friday is in race number 3. And I just didn't think there was all that much speed in this race. And I'm looking towards Builder. Builder is going to get back. He's 8-1 on the morning line. Builder is, so in the StableDuel sense, will only cost you $3,000. And if you look up and down this field, there is not much speed at all. Builder is going to return to the turf. Last time Builder was on the turf, he was in a race behind a couple next out. He was in a race with a couple next out winners. He was behind one of them named Respect the Hustle. You see in this October 3rd race up at Golden Gate. This race came back to be very, very live with Respect the Hustle, winning a $30,000 claimer out of it next time out. You have Miss Super Saint and Rev Ree, who were both next out winners in there. And I think for a good run for your money spot, you're going to get a horse who, dig back into the turf form here. So the last turf race we mentioned was in a 12-5 starter allowance that came back pretty tough. Before that, you see races against Stakes Company, against non-2 optional 62s. I thought Builder at 8-1 on the morning line, only going to cost you $3,000 in your StableDuel lineups. This might be a good horse to use on Friday over at Santa Anita. So I've got 2 for Friday at Santa Anita. That's my first. Where do you want to look for your play, Barry?
We're going to go to race 4.
Okay.
Or the first one is race 4.
Cool. Barry's got a couple on Friday.
Yeah, I got a couple on Friday. I kind of like this card here, but
love it.
Cheaper type maiden race, going 6. There's a horse here that's probably going to attract a lot of attention, which is the 8, Alana, My Princess. Yep. Which the horse is okay. I don't really think that the horse should be, that I guess well regarded, coming out of a state bred, right? Yeah. $45,000 race. Ran okay, was off a bit slow. Didn't really stand out, and the horse is 9-5 on the line, and I think that's a little bit over, a little bit of an underlay. So I actually like Golden Halo, the 5, who's 7-2 on the line. The horse ran pretty good both times out, getting blinkers on today, which was the key for me, because it doesn't really look like too much speed, kind of like the 3rd race where it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of speed, and these horses are probably not going to be able to pass too much. And I think if Golden Halo with the blinkers on gets out and gets a good position, may be able to pass one horse and win the race. because I really don't have any confidence in the 8. In the 8.
And you get I like when you have a horse that's been beaten by the same kind of couple of horses, back to back. You get away from Red Panty Knight, who that sounds like a fun night, I will say. Golden Halo. When you get the red panties, you're going to show them off, right? Like you don't go and get those just to wear them for yourself and look in the mirror, right? Like otherwise you get the boring like lingerie.
I love it.
I'm just saying. So
I'm just saying.
So we've got Golden Halo for Barry, who's going to try to get this one out gate to wire. Hope the blinkers can show a little bit more speed. That's in the 4th for today. Santa Anita for Friday. I'm going to head to race number 7, and I got an old familiar friend in here that I'm going to check back in with one more time because I think this is. I know. I'm going to do it, guys. I'm doing it again. I'm going back to our friend Javonica.
You know what? I almost did the same thing, to be honest with you.
You know what? This feels like a really great spot for Javonica to cut back to down the hill going 6.5. Javonica, I needed her last time. She's the 4 here, and she ran really, really well, honestly. I just, like right here, go to the lead. You're on the lead. Just keep going. Go forward. But no, they decide to kind of track back behind, and Zero Tolerance ends up going out up front. And that is really what changes the race for Javonica right here, because you can see she's really, really full of herself, but she's just got nowhere to go. So she's got to kind of shuffle back. She's got to kind of sit and track maybe about a length and a half back more than she would like. And unfortunately, you got to be a little bit lucky when you're in that spot. What's great is you get to save all the ground. You don't have to go wide. You don't have to give up lengths deep, but you're just at the mercy of what happens. You're sitting behind. You're getting shuffled inside third, a length off, traveling well, nowhere to go. And then she's going to have to shift out and really late and end up for third. I mean, she's just buried right here. She's trying to go. She wants to get somewhere. And this is against a pretty solid group. Keep in mind, before this race, she faced Grade 1 company in the Del Mar Oaks against Going Global, Fluffy Socks. That's a really good group. And right here, she's just in some trouble. She's just like, please. And as I'm sitting here and I've got her at 15-1, I'm just like begging for some room. Tough trip. She's buried. She's going to be, she is 4-1 on the morning line. So in a StableDuel situation, that's 7,000. She's trying to get through, nowhere to go. Now she's got to angle all the way around. She's going to eventually end up getting up for third behind Zero Tolerance here, but she really had no chance to do more than what she did right there, guys. And I think the downhill layout at Santa Anita, it's so nice for horses just like that. She's kind of drawn well on the outside. Just let her loose, let her just kind of track towards the outside. You don't have to really worry about giving up as much ground there. And then just keep her in the clear. Don't have her get stopped. Don't have her get in trouble. So now I've got 2 Santa Anita horses. One's 3,000, one's 7,000. And that's basically the average that you need when you're putting a lineup together every day. Together, they'll get you, about 5,000 per horse. And, Javonica might be a horse who I wouldn't be shocked if she gets bet down off of the troubled line, off of the, the graded stakes running lines recently. So if she ends up at like 5-2 and we've got her at, we only paid 7,000 for her instead of having to pay 8,500 or 9,000, like Barry was mentioning earlier, those are the kind of things you're looking for. So one more time, Javonica, this will be the 4th time in a row. She won for me one of them. The other 2 were troubled. No real excuses in the Del Mar Oaks. She was just in a tough spot that day. But come on, Javonica, let's do it. You and me today. Come on, let's do this.
Yeah, I actually like that cutback. That's the thing, going a mile to that 6.5 downhill. It's pretty deadly and should get a good trip here. No excuses. I mean,
none, right?
Means like it's now or never on that horse today.
Guys, if she doesn't win today and she gets in trouble, even if I bet her next time, I promise I won't come out here and rub her in this. I won't do this again. I won't be doing the song and dance. I will not do it. That'll stay in my own mind if it happens next time. Barry, where else are we headed on Friday at Santa Anita?
Race 9.
Okay.
which I thought was a really, again, interesting race where I'm not really fond of the favorites here. Sweet Soulmate is probably going to be the favorite. I think he's 5-2 on the line, or she is. Um, kind of an okay horse. It seems to be a lot better at a lower level. I'm just not sold on this horse, even off the claim. I mean, off the claim from Baltus stepped up and ran pretty decent, but didn't finish it off. So that, and didn't run a great number either, even having the trip of a lifetime. if you go back and watch that race on November 25th. But I went to the 5, Chasing Serendipity. I think this horse has a lot of upside. Ran good in this, or somewhat at this level back in the early summer. Laid a horse off after August, came back way over her head. Didn't really run that good. Then you see the speed comes back, and that is the key for me. Is just basically telling me that the horse is coming back into form, showing that early speed. I think Ricky Gonzalez is going to have a great trip, kind of stalking right with Sweet Soulmate. So
in that two-back race, she ran into Mraz,
who's razor sharp.
So you're not able to get to the lead against a horse named like Mraz. Super Game came out of that race to win a first-level allowance, so that race has already come back very live. This horse feels, Barry, like a horse who's got a great pattern,
Correct.
Coming into this race, just one more step forward, third start of the form cycle, and you'll be right there.
Exactly, and that's its go time. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this horse drifts up over 5-1. But
yeah, I agree with you. This will StableDuel and just a horse to throw into late exotics and bet to win if you get over 4-1 and above. Yeah, Chasing Serendipity fits, and that is Friday at Santa Anita. So we bounced from Gulfstream to Santa Anita, and now we're going to head over to Sam Houston. I know Matt's got a couple plays at Sam Houston for Friday, and I do too. Don't worry, folks. We're also going to hit Saturday and give you a couple plays for a couple tracks on Saturday. Matt, I got to say, as someone who has covered Sam Houston, I covered them probably about 10 years ago when I was at TVG, and then there were a few years where I honestly would only maybe pay attention if there were big stakes races happening. It wasn't like a track that was on my daily radar. And then a few years ago, I knew Chris Griffin, the track announcer over there. I had the podcast. I was really starting to get into, the last 5 years more about my takeout, monitoring my bets, tracking everything, and realizing how great takeout was, the lower takeout, how much that really will do for you. And Sam Houston, 3 years ago, people are talking about it. 2 years ago, talking about it. A year ago, talking about it. Last night, there was just this buzz. Everybody was talking Sam Houston. Everybody had a Sam Houston video, a pick 5, a pick 4, a best bet, a stream, which was great. And the money came through. StableDuel had some awesome games. They had a free ride. They also had another really big contest. I didn't do very well, so we can refrain from talking about that all that much. But we're going to do a lot better today and this weekend. And like I said, it seems right now, Matt, like with the way that the schedule is going to be, like the racing schedule for all these tracks, I think these 4 tracks, we won't really have a whole lot on Tampa today, but a little bit of a sneak preview. Next week, we'll probably talk a little Tampa. They're going to have a StableDuel event at Tampa next week, which will be really cool. They're going to have a Players Day and a big $30,000 guaranteed prize pool on the 15th. So we'll be talking about that next week a little bit. But I think it's going to be for the next few months, Tampa, Gulfstream, Sam Houston, Santa Anita. So we'll have a pretty fun schedule going through these tracks.
Absolutely. And it's great to have that sort of continuity, from week to week, that you'll start to see a lot of these same horses run again.
Absolutely.
You'll start to just be able to see some trends emerge, and you'll be able to get more confident as a handicapper and as a picker, as a StableDuel player, the more you're playing these tracks. I mean, I know that's something, I only started playing StableDuel back in September, and I got to tell you, every month I get better at it. You figure things out, you figure out how to layer your selections. You just start getting more comfortable with certain tracks. Helps introduce people to new tracks as well. And Sam Houston, certainly one of those for people who are maybe on the coast and don't know much about Sam Houston. It's a track, like you said, great takeout. and is a track where I think Steve Asmussen is the 13-time training champion, going for his 14th this year. But there's some really nice trainers to keep your eye on. Somebody like Gustafson, somebody like Mindy Willis tend to be really under bet and overperform. So there are a lot of names to keep in mind that you'll get more familiar with the more you play the track.
So where do you want to head for one of your plays for Sam Houston Friday?
Yeah, so I'll go to race 5, and this is the horse, the number 5 horse, Circle Back Girl. This is a race, is a mile race where most of the field has not fared particularly well at a mile or even gone a mile. So there's a lot of horses stretching out for the first time. There's a lot of horses that have just had kind of meh performances at a mile. Circle Back Girl at 8-1 is only going to cost you $3,000. This is a horse who's got the speed figures that are right there with everybody else and has gone a mile at a stakes race, finished third and was giving ground late, but was running against significantly better competition than what she's going to be running against here. So from a StableDuel perspective, for $3,000, this feels like a really nice play. And for $3,000, you don't need to always pick a winner. That's the beauty, is this is a horse that if it comes in second or maybe even third, you're still getting nice value for only spending $3,000 on the horse. And I think this is a horse that absolutely is going to hit the board at this price. And I might bet her to win, but I would be shocked if she's outside of the top 2. And for $8,000, I really like that value for StableDuel.
Circle Back Girl from the outside there, stretching out, hoping she will be forwardly placed. That's one of Matt's plays for Friday, Sam Houston. I'm going to go to race number 6 for one of mine. And I'm looking at the number 4 in here, Snowman, who is 6-1 on the morning line, only going to cost you $5,000 in your StableDuel lineups. Now, if you look at the form of Snowman, this is a horse who was competing with $20,000 claimers, then was sent to the bench for a little bit, came back in August and showed speed in a much, much tougher turf race at Remington Park. And then what happened in the race on October the 16th, you lose the jock. And that was an open $7,500 race. And after that, Snowman comes back in a much softer spot and absolutely crushed that group. I love the fact that he's drawn to the outside in here because he's shown that he can stalk off a little bit. This guy's actually a stakes winner with a little bit of back class. When you dig into some of his earlier running lines and you go back, he has faced some really tough company. And, you see, I mentioned Snowman and earlier on in his career, they thought a lot of this horse early, and he's had some problems. He's 5 and he's only raced 12 times, and he's had a couple big, interruptions in his racing, but feels like this is a good spot for him to get right back. 6-1, $5,000 in your StableDuel lineup. I like Snowman in race number 6. And guys, it's got to be Frosty. I mean, like it's got to be, right? I mean, he's a jolly, happy soul. He's got a corncob pipe and a button nose, a couple eyes made out of coal.
We got a lot of, I'm in Northern Virginia. We got a whole lot of snowmen outside my place right now because we got 12 inches of snow outside. So
I got my heater on underneath me, my space heater, just because we're like 40 degrees over here. So
oh my God, what's going on, man?
We live in different worlds. Yeah.
It's 70 over here.
No, yeah. Barry's going to the beach later.
It's cool. Yeah, but 70's cool, man. I know. That's chilly. That's chilly for me.
So I've got one more at Sam Houston for Friday. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, I have one more as well in race 8. This is a horse I really like a lot. Dancing All Alone, going off at 9-2. This is a horse that, if you look at this race in race 8, every other horse, with the exception of one, is coming off a layoff. So they're all coming off layoffs. And I'm not a big fan of betting horses coming off layoffs. And so Dancing All Alone has been running continuously and has run against some of these other horses before they were all laid off and was better than them then. And I think it's going to be better than them now. Yeah. And this is a horse that's very consistent, 1-for-1 winning at Sam Houston, 9-for-12 hitting the board in 2021, 4-for-6 hitting the board at this distance. I think this is a slight step up, but a very soft step up because this is a field that does not overwhelm me. And at 9-2 for $6,500, are you kidding me? Like, that's a horse that I really love the value for in the stable duel in this spot. So Dancing All Alone in race 8 is where I'm going to go.
Dancing All Alone for Matt in the 8th. I will track back to the 7th for another one of my plays, and I am going to go towards the outside with the number 9 in here. She Is a Bling. So She Is a Bling is going to step up and face First Level Allowance Company, but Texas bred First Level Allowance Company. She Is a Bling has actually put together a pretty solid string of races against Open Company as of late. And when you look at the last time she was in against Texas bred runners, she was actually very, very competitive in the $62,000, $7,500 restricted claiming races. Now I love the fact that she's been beating Open Company recently. She's sharp, and she's going to go back in against Texas breds. I think it's a very good spot. She's got some versatility to her. She's going to cut back, so she'll probably be more off the pace in this spot. And if you look at the way this race shapes up, My Golden Bling, no doubt about it, is going to go. You've got Still of the Night, who's also going to be forwardly placed. I'd imagine Dust of Flying is probably going to be showing some early speed there too. Bebop Baby has the opportunity to show some speed. And kind of what Matt was saying, there's a lot of horses in this race that haven't raced in a while, so they're probably going to be fresh, wanting to show more speed. She's a Bling is only coming off of a shorter layoff, and I think she can stalk nicely there from the outside. And at 10-1, only going to cost you $1,000 to use in your stable duel lineup. So those are my Friday Sam Houston plays. We got a couple from Matt as well. And now we can bounce on over to Saturday and talk a little bit about what's happening on Saturday. So Barry, for Saturday, where were you looking to play?
Well, I got one for Santa Anita and one for Gulfstream.
Okay, let's get on over to Gulfstream Park first. Tell us where you want to head for your Gulfstream Saturday play.
Race 4, which is a loaded maiden special weight.
Yeah, it is.
Going 6. And usually I like these kind of races to kind of go against the grain, because a lot of people like to jump on the bandwagon. They'll get a horse that they get a lot of steam about, or they hear good things, and they constantly disappoint, and you can always get a price.
Yep.
So, a lot of first-time starters in here. I don't particularly like the horse that actually ran, which is the 4 Matico. I actually like the other Pletcher, which is Caronade, the 3. I think it looks like, at least on paper, I'm not sure, I could probably find out, but it looks like the 3 and the 9, the other Pletcher horse, Ironworks, have been training together.
Yep.
Workmates.
Yep. And
if you see the very last work, looks like Caronade may have gotten the best of old Ironworks, who was a $550,000 purchase. And usually when I'm playing younger horses like this, and more or less babies, I like the last work from the gate, the fastest last work from the gate. Very good indicator of talent and speed. And Caronade has a very good work at Palm Beach Downs heading into this. And I think this horse is going to get overlooked a little bit at 5-1 in stable duels. It's a very good play in a race that probably is going to be kind of tough. I think a lot of these horses are going to get bet. So I'm usually one to default to play the longest price of the ones that you like. I think Caronade's going to fall in that category.
Caronade for Barry, 5-1, 6,000 in your stable duel lineup in race 4 on Saturday. Matt, do you have any looks at Gulfstream Park for Saturday?
Yeah, I got a couple. So I'm kind of going towards the end in race 9. This is a race where I feel like you can find a lot of value. I am not overwhelmed by the favorite, who threw up some and both of the favorites kind of threw up pretty unrealistic speed figures last time out. So that's always a red flag for me. And I sometimes think that you're going to see a little bit of regression rather than progression, or even kind of staying stable. So this is one where I actually am looking. I think you could go a few different ways. I really like Doo-Wop Don, the horse in this particular race, taking a slight step up in competition, but was incredibly impressive last time out at Gulfstream. Keeps Louis Saez aboard. And I know that, this week also is the celebration of Irad Ortiz Jr. coming back to the jockey colony in South Florida. But Luis Saez has been just crushing things at Gulfstream Park.
Yeah.
I mean, Luis Saez, you could just bet Luis Saez on like the early pick 3, pick 4 and win half the time. I mean, he just crushes those early races and is just so good. So I really like Do Up Don there. But what I'll also say is in that race, like I said, Do Up Don is kind of my play to win. But if you're looking for a really long shot, Handsome Prince in that race that's going off at 20-1, that's only going to cost you $250. If you've been spending your money on all these other races, that's not the worst of all plays, because that's a horse that kind of hangs around and manages to get on the board at this level. Yes, usually it's like 6 lengths back, but he'll get third. And so, from a StableDuel perspective, that'll get you some points. And for $250, that's a really cheap play. Like I said, if you spent your money elsewhere and you just really need an inexpensive horse, that was one of the better long shots. I felt like really big long shots on the Saturday card there at Gulfstream.
That is Handsome Prince. I've got a Gulfstream play a little earlier in on the card. Where am I going? To race number 5 for mine. And this one is one that I just feel like is going to get bet. So I think we'll just at least get really good value on Shastri, the number 7. Yep. You're just talking about Irad Ortiz Jr. He's going to be back aboard. So Shastri was a very impressive debut winner and then came back, and in career start number 2, Shastri finished 4th. Actually, the race has come back very live because the 3rd place finisher, Simplification, came out of that to win the Mucho Macho Man. And Shastri, I thought, ran pretty well in this race. So Shastri, we're going to look at the number 5 and will be the number 7 in this race we're talking about on Saturday. And because of that price, 6-1 on the morning line, only going to cost you 5-1. So Shastri actually, like, it breaks really, really well, kind of well. It's like right here with this group, like right on the front end, and then has to back up, right? See, like that's it right there. You tack back like that when everybody else is moving, and it's just so hard to build your momentum back up. And with the draw that this horse has today, I think the trip is going to be much different. Look, like he's live right there, but he's just got nowhere to go. Mm-hmm. He's waiting, he's running up on hills. He's got to stop while the horse that wins the race of a Revolution gets the clear run through. And see, now he's beat to the spot. Now he's got to try to go around. And when you're in a race against other good horses, you can't do that. You can't do that and win the race. And so now he tries to move around. He actually looms up, but he ends up getting a little bit flat. And if you look at the way this race actually shapes up on paper, the Saturday race, everybody to the inside of him is fast. In due time, Dean's List, who was super impressive. Matt just mentioned him a minute ago. Dean delivers. Spuntacular, Willie the Shoe, and Volbeat. I think all of them are going to want to be on the front end, are all going to want to be really close to it. And, that's where I'm looking for my play today.
I love that play. By the way, so I capped that entire Gulfstream card, and I have Shastri as kind of my number 2 choice behind Dean's List, but I love that pick. I think that's a great value selection. Love that horse.
I'm sharing I'm sharing our look and everything now here. So that was
it's like the Matrix. It's like how many layers of this can we
I mean, to me, that's a real, like, I wouldn't be shocked if Shastri is 7-2. Yeah. Or 3-1 in there with Irad, the way the horse is drawn towards the outside. So that's going to be my other Gulfstream play. I just had one for Gulfstream for Saturday. And Barry, you said you have another one at Santa Anita, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
So we're done for Saturday at Gulfstream Park. Let's move on over to Santa Anita for Saturday. Barry, where do we want to head for Saturday for Santa Anita?
Race number 7, State Bred Maiden Special Weight.
Okay.
Mile on the turf.
Okay.
And I landed on Emerald Lake, first time starter, with Johnny V out of the Ruben Alvarado barn. I just think there's really not much to grab onto here. And, it's one of those races where you have some horses that have run who don't look that good. And there's really, it's just a new face in a new place, really. I mean, If you look at the first 4 horses, the 1, 2, 3, and 4. The 2 ran okay last time after dropping in from running in a stake, but it's just such a weird move, and it doesn't happen often. The horse didn't run all that great that, it's just a standout here, and that horse is 3-1. You go to the 5th horse, Bonnie Bray. She doesn't look all that fantastic either. Didn't get a great trip last time. Does get a positive rider switch here, but again, nothing that's unbeatable. Ran a 51 buyer, which really isn't that great when you got horses coming into this race that are, kind of around there. Even the 8, Lover's Odyssey looks okay. Really off slowly. That's one of the things about this race that kind of stuck out, is everybody kind of broke slowly, and a lot of times the horses end up on the grass because they do that. If Johnny V can kind of get this horse in position early, I think this horse is going to be tough. Out of Bluegrass Cat with approval on the dam side, I mean, there's a lot of upside here at 6-1. I think this horse is actually going to get bet a little bit more than that. So there's some value there as far as StableDuel, but even in the windows, I don't think this horse is going to go off longer than 7-2.
Yeah. And looks very, very live in this spot. That is Emerald Lake on the Saturday card at Santa Anita. A couple different Santa Anita contests for you to get into. Actually, on Saturday, there is the $10, $1,500 game. So for not a lot of money, you can be playing for big money. Where are you looking at Santa Anita, Matt, for Saturday?
Yeah, so Santa Anita is one of those tracks, small fields in a lot of cases, particularly those dirt races. There's not a ton of value. You always talk to about, an average is a $5,000 horse. Sometimes your long shot is a $5,000 horse.
It is.
And you're sitting there going, after 3 races, I don't have any money left. Mm-hmm. And so this is one where I was looking at race 3. And so turf races is usually where I try to find value at Santa Anita, because there's a little bit bigger fields and you'll get a little bit more spread in terms of long shots. And so I'm looking at a horse like Operatic, that's going off at 8-1 in race 3. This is a horse that went back to the turf last time out, had been running on dirt almost exclusively, and you saw a perk up in the buyer speed figures. And so this is a horse that seemed to wake up a little bit, had some success earlier in their career on the turf, and now is kind of coming back to it. I felt like this would be a pretty nice spot. This is second race off a layoff for this particular horse. That's always an angle I typically like to play as well. So a lot of things going there. And I thought Operatic at 8-1 was a good play. What I'll also say is, right underneath that horse, the 8 horse, if you really don't have any money left, if you have $50 left, Tisno's Dilemma is, I think, an intriguing play, because if you look, this is a horse, you look at those past performances, he's finished 2 or 3 lengths behind the morning line favorite, Sugary, several times out. So this is a horse that has shown that he's capable of running close to the morning line favorite, and it's 30-1.
Way shorter.
Yeah. And so I just think that I don't know if this horse will hit the board, but again, in StableDuel, you're getting points for 4th and 5th place in a lot of instances at 30-1. Like I said, if you're just dead broke going into your stable because you've wasted, you've used all your money on other, horses, that's about as good a value play at Santa Anita on Saturday, I think, as you can find for $50.
Is it 50? I thought it was a 0.
I know, right?
It's just a freebie.
Is it 0 or is it?
I think it's 0 at that high.
I think it's a freebie. Yeah, I think that's a
even
freebie.
Better. Even better.
Right, exactly.
Even better. I've got 2 that we'll check in on real quick at Santa Anita for Saturday. The first is going to be in race number 2. Guys, it's a small field. It's only a field of 5, but I think Invisible War is actually really live because there's not a lot of speed in here. So I think Invisible War will give you a really good run for your money, because at the very least, he's going to be forwardly placed. He should have a couple lengths on this field. I think the 4 will probably be sent with the blinkers stretching out, but naturally, it looks like Invisible War is just quicker. That last effort actually wasn't bad. Who's the Star? I played Who's the Star against winners. The Keeneland race was only against maiden claimers, but he's actually showed in a couple other spots against maiden specials that he can compete with them. And we keep talking about Johnny V. I'm going to mention him twice on Saturday. Barry just mentioned him once earlier. He's getting live mount after live mount after live mount. I'll take Invisible War at that 9-2. That'll cost you $6,500. in your stable duel lineup. So little bit above the
And I
average.
tell you
but
what,
not
that
right?
horse, really only has to beat one horse.
Right?
Yeah.
That's it.
And it's very well capable of doing that in a race like this where there's really no speed. As long as that horse goes to the front, it has a good chance to win.
And this is the longest shot in the field.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's like the perfect thing in a stable duel situation, because it just frees up money so you could bet that 30-1 later on.
Exactly.
Love it. Love it. Invisible War. Matt, did you have anything else for Santa Anita?
Yes and no. I mean, I do. I mean, we'll might as well talk about the Santa Ynez. I don't know if anybody else is going there in race 8.
Sure, man.
The big stakes race. That's one where I think that this race comes down to a lot of strategy to some extent, because you have 2 huge long shots and Under the Stars and Big Switch. They're both going to cost you over $9,000. And I got news for you. One of them is not going to win. And I have a feeling one of them is not even going to finish second either. And so that's a huge waste of resources if you spent $9,000 for a third place horse. I really like Awake at Midnight in this spot. I just think, I thought the move to turf, I wasn't quite sure about, but ended up coming second at the Jimmy Durante, is now coming back to dirt where he ran a really impressive maiden and where she beat, I should say, Under the Stars.
Yeah.
And I just think at 3-1, $8,000, like everything's expensive at Santa Anita. And so I just thought in a race where there's 2 $9,000 plus horses, the $8,000 horse is actually oddly a little bit of value in that race. And I think Awake at Midnight's going to get a perfect trip too behind Mima June, and who's going to set the pace probably. So that was kind of my play in the stakes race.
Midnight's okay. My mom used to always tell me that nothing good happens after 2.
After mid.
I think whatever it was, but it's like my mom doesn't know that, like, that's when I do all my work nowadays. So that doesn't really make sense. Mom, I wouldn't have any podcasts out there, period, if nothing good happened after, 2. So Mom, we're gonna have to discuss that again, later on.
By the way, your mom was a lot more lenient than my dad. My dad said nothing good starts after 10 p.m.
Okay,
I was
we're
like,
in California. We're a little more lenient out here,
I was living in a convent in Pennsylvania growing up.
Yeah. So I've got one more for Santa Anita for Saturday that I wanted to jump in on. This one actually is not going to cost you a whole lot to use. And again, we're going to that same man that I've mentioned a few times, Johnny V. We're looking at the number 4, Fly the Sky. Now, I'm a little concerned because if you look at the running lines and you see just the comment lines, this is a horse who has some issues at the start. Antsy, hopped at the break, off slow, lacked room, bumped at the start. So he does have legitimate issues. But what I like is you've got a very, very good veteran rider jumping aboard now. It's Johnny V is someone who can hopefully work with those issues and maybe get the horse to just not break as poorly out of the gate, because even in the races when this guy is broken poorly, he's actually loomed right back up. Both of the races in October, this horse was loaded. October 3rd, off slow inside, and then he just moved right into contention. He had nowhere to go. October the 30th, he was loaded again. He was just traveling really well. He was bumped. He moves up at the top of the lane. He's waiting on room. He ends up finishing 8th in that race. He could have been 2nd or 3rd. No doubt about it. It was that kind of a sneaky race where he's just bottled up inside. He's 10-1 on the morning line. Johnny V jumps aboard. Steve Knapp claims him. This is a barn that's very good. First start off the claim. I think Fly the Sky makes a lot of sense in here. Fly the Sky going 5.5 furlongs is only going to cost you $1,000 in your stable duel lineup. I think he ends up going off at like 5-1, so you probably end up only having to pay for a 10-1 shot that may go off at like 5-1 or half of that price. So that is Saturday over at Santa Anita. And fellas, this was a lot of fun. Matt, did you have anything for Sam Houston for Saturday or no? We hit Santa Anita and Gulfstream, right?
Not yet. Not yet.
Don't worry about And if you guys want more for Saturday, I'll probably post another stable duel stuff for Saturday, Sam Houston. What's nice is that we get the night racing now with Sam Houston on Friday and Saturday night. So that'll make your weekend a little more fun. If you're playing other sports or playing deeper into the night, that'll extend things for you. If you've had a tough day and you need to, you feel like you need to get back, that's what Sam Houston's for. Or once you've made a bunch of money and you want to have some fun and roll over and something to accompany with you, a beer with you, that's what Sam Houston's for too. We will try to do a show like this every Friday. We're going to aim for 10 a.m. Eastern time. Similar to this, we can get you all set up with what the schedule looks like for Friday and for Saturday. If Matt and Barry are available, I would love to have them every week or as much as they possibly can. And we'll, it's like anything. Sometimes for me, it was just remembering, oh, wow, there's a free game at StableDuel today. Oh, wow, there's another big contest that it's only $10. I think the more we can remind people and the more we can get consistent, it's nice to know that this is going to be our set schedule for the next few months with all of these tracks. So if you like Tampa, Gulfstream, Sam Houston, Santa Anita, you will really enjoy playing StableDuel for the next couple months. You'll have a lot of options, a lot of opportunities to do so. Barry, my man, give us your plugs. We've got the Twitter where we all know we can follow you, and then Big Mondays, right?
Absolutely. Twitter is at Urban Handicapper, URBN Handicapper. Big Mondays, Going in Circles podcast, coming to a racetrack near you. Actually going to be out at Tampa next weekend.
Awesome. So Barry's going to be out there. You make sure you take some pictures and some videos.
Oh yeah. We're gonna have the reels going, man. I'm gonna make a movie, everything. We're gonna do it up.
Look, I'm gonna be living vicariously through you there, and make sure you take a shot.
The bash at the Bay.
Yeah.
The StableDuel Bash at the Bay. That's where we're going, man.
At the Bay, they're gonna have a big event. I've actually got the info about it one more time. Let's just read through it once again. If you want to go, let them know. Email them. There's going to be a big party, a $30,000 guaranteed prize pool at Tampa, a buffet lunch, beer, refreshments, and you're going to get to hang out with Barry. I mean, what's better than that? What's better than that? Nothing. Nothing. Maddie, tell us about where we can find you and some of the stuff that you've got going on.
Yeah, sure. You can find me on Twitter at the handle @FailedToMenace, and I have the Win Place Show podcast. Comes out Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays. Mondays are race recaps. Wednesdays are horse racing news, and Fridays are graded stakes previews. So always try to keep a pretty set schedule. And then I also have a picks blog that has all the picks for the entire Saturday card this week at Gulfstream.
Every time I see that comment line now, I think of you, Failed to Menace.
Yeah.
Every time I see it in the running lines, I'm always like, Matt. Oh, wait, Matt. I wonder what Matt's doing.
Matt, you know what's Matt's doing? Matt's betting on that horse because that always cracks me up, and I'm like, I'll put $2 to show on that horse, see what happens.
Because normally when they're coming off of that comment line, they're 20-1 or 50-1 or whatever, right? They're not like 6-5. So that $2 will even be worth it if they win. Barry, my friend, you have a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining us. Matt, good luck to you and all your wagers. Make sure to follow these guys. They are great follows when it comes to racing. They're always going to be honest with you. They're always going to steer you in the right direction. So we'll be back again next week. StableDuel players, get those entries in and play, race, win.
Better, you want to spread your pony knowledge wide. StableDuel, your horse racing fantasy come true.